My name is Sokka, and for as long as I have lived on this world, my bite has meant only one thing: death. I am not cruel. I do not hunt for pleasure. But when my fangs find skin, whatever creature I have bitten stops breathing before the sun moves a hand's width across the sky. This is not a threat. This is simply true. The way gravity is true. The way the twin moons rise every night without asking permission. My kind are the reason this world is called dangerous. My kind are the reason the small ships that come from the sky land far away from my hunting grounds and never wander close. I did not choose this power. I was born with it, the same way a bird is born with wings, and for 300 seasons, it never once failed. Until the day I found a human dying in the grass, and my bite gave him his life back instead of taking it. I remember the morning clearly. The sky was the color of rust, the wind was low, and I was moving through the tall reeds near the eastern ridge, following the scent of blood that was not mine. I often follow such scents. Sometimes it leads me to a wounded animal I can end quickly, out of mercy. Sometimes it leads me to nothing at all. That day, it led me to wreckage. Metal, torn and blackened, scattered across a clearing like broken teeth. Human shapes, still and silent, some half buried in churned soil. I had seen human patrols before, small groups that walked carefully through my territory, never straying far from their machines, always watching the tree line as if I were a story told to frighten children. They were right to be careful, but this was not my doing. Something else had come through here, fast and violent, and left almost nothing standing. Almost nothing. At the edge of the clearing, half hidden beneath a fallen support beam, one of them was still breathing. I did not move at first. I only watched. His chest rose and fell in short, uneven pulls, like a machine running out of power. Blood soaked through the fabric on his side. His eyes were closed. He did not know I was there, and even if he had, I do not think he could have done anything about it. I have ended suffering before. It is not the same as hunting. When a creature is broken beyond saving, and pain is the only thing left for it, I have always believed a quick bite is kinder than a slow death under the open sky. I told myself this was the same. I told myself I was doing him a mercy. I moved closer, quiet the way only my kind can be quiet, and I looked at his face for a long moment before I bit him. His skin was warm, warmer than I expected. My fangs found the side of his neck, and I felt the familiar release of venom leaving my body, the same venom that had ended every living thing I had ever touched with it. Then I waited for him to stop breathing. He did not stop. For a moment, I thought perhaps I had misjudged the strike, that my aim had been wrong, that no venom had truly entered him, but I could feel it had. I could feel the emptiness in my own fangs where the venom had been. It was in him. It was working. And still, he breathed. I stayed very still, watching his chest rise and fall, waiting for the moment when it would stop rising at all. Instead, something strange happened. His breathing began to steady. The short, panicked pulls became longer, deeper. The color returned, slowly, to the skin around his lips. The wound on his side, which had been open and raw, began to close at its edges, the way a wound closes over many days. Except this was happening in front of me, in the space of minutes. I did not understand it. In 300 seasons, I had never seen my venom do anything but end life. I had built my entire understanding of myself around that single, unbroken truth. And now that truth was breaking apart in front of my eyes, and I did not know what I was anymore. I should have left. Every instinct told me to leave, to retreat into the reeds, and let this strange thing resolve itself without me. Instead, I stayed. I told myself it was curiosity. Perhaps it was something else. He woke slowly, over the space of an hour. His eyes opened first, unfocused, blinking against the rust-colored sky. Then his hand moved, weak, searching for the wound on his side that was no longer bleeding. He found only smooth, tender skin where the injury had been, and I watched confusion cross his face before he noticed me. I expected fear. I have seen fear on human faces before, even from a distance, even through the scopes of their weapons. I expected him to scramble back, to reach for whatever tool or blade he still carried, to treat me the way every human treated my kind. He did not do that. He looked at me for a long moment, his breathing still uneven, his body still weak from whatever had happened to his unit before I arrived. And then, quietly, he said, "You didn't kill me." I did not answer. I do not think he expected me to. Humans speak more than my kind ever do, filling silence with words the way we fill it with stillness. "I should be dead," he said. He tried to sit up, wincing, one hand pressed against the place where his wound had been. I remember the attack. I remember going down. I remember... He stopped, looking at his own hand, as if it belonged to someone else. I remember something biting me. I stepped back, just slightly, unsure of what to do with the strange weight settling in my chest. It was not fear. It was not quite curiosity anymore either. It was something closer to responsibility, a feeling I had never needed before, because nothing I had ever touched had lived long enough to need anything from me. "That was you," he said, understanding dawning slowly. He looked at the marks on his neck, small and already fading. "Your bite. It's supposed to..." He trailed off, glancing toward the wreckage of his unit scattered across the clearing, the stillness there, saying what he did not want to say aloud. I lowered my head, not in submission, but in something closer to acknowledgement. Yes. My bite was supposed to do that. My bite had always done that. "Why didn't it?" he asked. I did not have an answer. I still do not. Not fully. But I have thought about it many times since that day, and I believe now that my venom was never simply a poison. I believe it was always something closer to a mirror, carrying forward whatever intention lived behind the strike. Every other time I had bitten something, I had meant to end it, cleanly and completely, and the venom had obeyed that intention without hesitation. But that day, in the grass, looking at a dying man who had done nothing to deserve his fate, my intention had not truly been to kill him. It had been to release him from suffering, and somewhere in that difference, something had shifted. I did not explain any of this to him, not that day. I did not have the words yet, in his language or my own. Instead, I simply stayed near him as the sun moved further across the sky, watching him regain enough strength to stand, to walk, to search through the wreckage for anything that could still be salvaged. He did not try to harm me. He did not try to run from me either, though I think a part of him considered it in those first careful hours. Instead, he seemed to be studying me the way I was studying him, two creatures trying to understand something that did not fit into anything either of us had known before. By the time the light began to fade, he told me his name. Corvin, a soldier, part of a small patrol that had been ambushed by raiders who preyed on both human settlers and my kind alike, taking whatever supplies or advantage they could find in this contested stretch of land. His unit had fought, and lost, and he alone had survived long enough for me to find him. "They'll come looking," he said, glancing toward the horizon. "My garrison, when we don't report in." I understood the warning in his words. Humans who found me standing over one of their own, in a clearing full of bodies, would not stop to ask questions. They would see the story they already believed, the story every human on this world had been told about creatures like me. I could have left before they arrived. It would have been simple. I had survived 300 seasons by understanding exactly when to disappear into the land that knew me better than any outsider ever could. But I did not leave. When the search party found us the next morning, moving cautiously through the ruined clearing with weapons raised, they found Corvin standing beside me, alive, when every sign around us said he should not be. I watched their faces shift from confusion to alarm, watched their weapons lift higher, aimed at me with the certainty of people who had only ever known one truth about my kind. Corvin stepped between us before a single shot was fired. "Stand down," he said, his voice stronger now than it had been the day before. "She saved my life." The words landed heavier than I expected, even from a distance, even filtered through a language that was not my own. I had heard humans speak of me in many ways over the seasons, as a threat, as a warning, as a reason to stay away from certain hills after dark. I had never heard one speak of me as something that saved a life. The soldiers did not lower their weapons easily. I do not blame them. Belief built over generations does not dissolve in a single moment, no matter how strange or true that moment might be. But they did not fire either, and that alone felt like something new settling into the world. A small crack of light, where before there had only been a solid wall of fear. Corvin told them what had happened, as much as he understood it himself. He did not pretend to have all the answers. He simply told the truth as he had lived it, and let them decide what to do with it. I think that honesty mattered more than anything I could have said, even if I had known how to say it. I did not stay with them long after that. I am still a creature of the wild places, still more comfortable in silence and reeds than among the metal and noise of a human garrison. But something had changed, quietly and permanently, in the space between us. I learned, later, that my bite did not work this way for everyone. I have tested it since, carefully, in situations where mercy rather than ending was truly my intention, and sometimes it heals, and sometimes it still simply ends, and I do not fully understand the difference yet. Perhaps I never will. Perhaps some truths are meant to stay just out of reach, teaching us patience instead of certainty. What I do know is this: for 300 seasons, I believed I understood exactly what I was: a predator, an ending, a reason for other creatures to stay far away from the ground I walked on. Then a soldier looked at me not with fear, but with something closer to gratitude, and I learned that even a thing built entirely around death can still, somehow, choose to become something else. I am still feared, on this world, by most who hear stories of the creature in the eastern reeds. I do not mind that. Fear has kept me alive, kept my hunting grounds untouched, kept the balance of this land steady for longer than any human settlement has stood. But now, when the wind carries the scent of a human patrol moving carefully through my territory, there is sometimes one among them who does not raise his weapon toward the tree line, who nods instead, quiet and certain, the way one creature acknowledges another it has come to understand. That is enough for me. I did not ask to become something new that day in the clearing, but I have come to believe that strength was never only about what a bite can end. Sometimes, it is about what it chooses, against every instinct, against every certainty built over a lifetime, to give back instead.